Okay. It's recording.
Welcome to Basket of Cats.
This is our last episode, sadly.
Our last episode
because
ever.
I am embarrassed.
Oh, why?
Well, because let me tell you. Let me tell you what happened.
No. Now I remember.
Let me tell you a fun story. So, Dan was at a show. You were doing comedy, yes?
Yes.
Surprise, surprise.
Yes.
Posted a picture of. He has a very funny friend, Will. What's his name?
Senate.
Will Sennett. He's very funny.
Funniest guy
He's
ever.
so funny.
Yeah.
And he was on stage, and I said, you know what? Me and Dan were becoming friends. I'm gonna let him know. I'm gonna say, Dan, your friend's so funny. Also, I'm gonna open up because now we're friends, and I'm gonna say, and this man on Instagram, something along those lines, reposts him all the time. And then Dan responds, who? And I thought, this is so nice to care, to even care.
Right.
What a nice guy Dan is.
I do care. Well, I wanted to know.
And so I say, this is so silly. It doesn't even matter. Neither of us know this person. I was like, I'm just going to tell. I was like, oh, just this man. And then I sent that hot-faced emoji and then sent the profile to Dan. And I see the typing bubbles. And I think, I cannot believe he's responding to this. What a nice, modern, straight man. Just the best. My new best friend.
Being supportive.
I was like, episode 100, we're going to be on double dates. It's going to be beautiful, our
Can't
friendship.
Wait. Oh, yeah.
And then he responds with 5 laughing faces and say, I went to school with that man.
Okay, let me preface this.
And then I had to lean in.
Yeah. So first of all, any relationship, this is what it requires. It requires a layer of trust and then a layer of vulnerability. And trust and vulnerability.
I've seen your videos.
You can't have a layer of one without the other, right? So we were at a state where we've built a layer of trust through these episodes, and you were trying to build the layer of vulnerability. And you just happened to choose an ingredient that was very funny to build that layer.
Horrible.
Well,
I was like, I can never speak to Dan again. If anyone knows me, I don't ever talk about stuff like that. So I was like, I'm making a bold choice, a big move. And then I was like, this motherfucker has ruined my life.
This is a person who I happened to go to high school with, and in your defense, he is the kind of guy who, like, you would see his profile and be like, oh, this is just kind of a internet celebrity, which he is.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Which he is an internet celebrity. I've shown him to, specifically gay men, but they've been like, oh, yeah, we know who that is. That's a guy.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't follow a lot of, like, naked hot people.
Sure.
Especially men. So I'm like, it was just so random that your friend popped up, and I was like, oh, this is going to be such a funny little story.
Literally I have known
horrible.
that person since I was 14.
It was a horrible.
It's funny. I don't see what's wrong with that.
Oh, I was jumping ship. Layer, what is it? Layer of trust, layer of vulnerability?
Yeah.
Medusa, bitch. Stone. I'm not doing it. That was horrible. I was like, oh, and then I tried to like back out of it. I was like, ha ha ha, and then I had to really go for it.
No, you have to explain to me why is that like a bad thing that I knew this person?
Because now that person becomes a real person, and I just wanted them to be
person.
Like, I just wanted it to be like a joke, like haha, here's a funny thing, like how random this person will be reposting my friend.
You wanted this person?
Yes, we share deep personal memories, and he watches our clips or something. Like, it's like insane.
Played high school football together. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Makes it better.
So we're
coming to an end.
So just getting into your mindset here, you were like, oh, I'm going to share this like random himbo type character.
Yeah, it didn't feel important.
Just like in expectations of me being like, oh, hell yeah, like that's awesome. But instead I had something. You just didn't like that I humanized this person.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I was easy out, and I was like, this son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And so then I tried to go along with it, but then I had to just text. Then I eventually just text. I was like, can we just talk about it on the podcast? Because now it's just, and that's all I can think about.
I mean, listen, that person is very hot, and you're not wrong to feel the way you feel. You know what I mean? This is my way of trying to make you feel less embarrassed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is working out great. So now, if you're wondering, we're on vacation now.
Oh yeah.
This is why we're sitting in sunlight. This is called a sunlight lamp.
Yeah, we're in a sunlight lamp.
I got it off TikTok.
Which looks I feel exactly like
it's literally blinding me. I can't.
Yeah, it's right.
It's hurting my eyes so bad.
It's directly in your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving me PTSD flashbacks to vacations I would take in Martha's Vineyard, where kids would throw rocks at me.
You know what it really looks like? It looks like in movies, whenever people are like bullied or attacked, they hide in the closet and there's one sliver of light coming in.
Yeah.
That's what this really looks like.
And
also, we're on different
out.
vacations.
Yeah. Tell me about the vacation.
Well, I to clarify, I told Dan, I said, Dan, I have a wild idea.
Yeah.
Let's do a vacation episode. We're gonna wear our vacation clothes. So Dan came like this, but I'm on a winter vacation.
But by the way, this is just a shirt I would wear any day. I wear this at shows all the time.
I wear this any day. That's why I own it.
That is true. I sort of I live a vacation lifestyle actually.
Oh, really?
That's what I like to think of myself. Yes.
Just free drinks and sand in places it shouldn't be.
I'm always getting sand in places I shouldn't be. I'm always talking to waiters for longer than I should. Being like, so how'd you get this job?
The shirt's an extension of the personality.
Absolutely.
Obnoxious.
This actually, it's a little early, but this actually gets into my question for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the topic. Vacations. How do you feel about them?
Oh, well, that was our group topic.
Oh, was it a group topic?
No, but now I wanted to outsmart you.
Yeah. Once again, I've bested you.
Yeah. Vacations, like you mean what makes a great vacation?
No, I'm saying, do you... See, this is a more sociopathic question, and I think you might be able to glean my answer from the question itself. Do you like a vacation?
To be honest with you, I haven't been on a vacation since I was like 16, and I don't think I had anything to take a break from at that point.
Me neither.
So I never go. But the idea of vacation, I'm into.
That is so funny that we subject children to vacations as though they need to... Yeah, building blocks is so hard. Hey, buddy, do you want to go to Bermuda and watch me and your mom try to rekindle a dead marriage? Because this block building seems... It's so much more stressful for a kid to go on vacation to just kind of stay around.
Yeah,
you know I mean?
When you're on a vacation, it's just like, hey, do you want to watch a mom get slightly humped by this dolphin we're swimming with? Like, do you want to eat only crab legs from a buffet 24 hours a day?
Disgusting.
And the answer is like, yeah, I do. But I'm not going to go because I have things to do as an adult and I don't have time. Yeah,
that's the thing. As soon as I stopped being a child, and maybe we were both sort of workaholic, insane people, but...
Yeah, it's called trying to pay rent.
Yeah, me too. Hey, same here. But
I don't have a hustle mindset. I'm just trying to survive.
Also, my job involves so much travel that I just don't... I've always felt really like... There's been a lot of things in my life, but I think a lot of people feel this way where...
You think a lot of people feel like there's been a lot of things in their life?
I feel like a lot of people have had a lot of things in their lives, and this is
just realizing things.
Things that everybody seems to like is like a societally accepted like trope. Like, this is nice to do. This is a fun thing, and you don't like it, and then it makes you feel by proxy like an insane person.
Yeah, like I don't like ice cream, and the way people treat me is just horrific.
Right? Yeah.
It's really bad.
You've been really persecuted over your dislike.
You say you don't like ice cream at a party, and you see how people react.
Right. People on YouTube comments are always really angry with you about your ice cream choices.
They're like, cold milk hater.
No, but like vacation, I have so many of those, but vacation is such a distinct one where it's like I had an ex who like really tried to get me to go on a vacation and then was like, why are you miserable? And I had to push back a little bit and be like, motherfucker, I told you how this would go. It's like if a dog has like one of those muzzles on and it's barking and you're like, no, let's just take the muzzle off. Like, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then they bite you, and they're like, why did that dog bite me? And it's like, I told you how this was going to go. When you said, let's go on a vacation, I was going, hoo, 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 hoo.
Who let the dogs out?
Who let that dog out? So, like, yeah, I like, did not enjoy myself. I was fucking bored. A day is too long to spend in leisure the whole fucking time. Okay. A day is too long.
Well, I disagree with all of that. I definitely enjoyed the vacations we went on. I just didn't have anything I needed a vacation from as a kid. No. So I should and would like to take them now because all I want to do all day is a leisure.
Okay.
I want a leisure right now. I'm surprised I'm even doing this because I like to lay down so much.
I'm glad that we've gotten into a topic, a subject matter that we can disagree with.
I did smoke a little bit this morning, and I'm taking a pre-workout.
Yeah, you did. I do feel as though I was a little bit bum rushed this morning because...
Bum rushed? That sounds like a gay slur.
That does sound like a gay slur. That sounds like a holiday.
hate crimes right here on our own show.
No, this weekend you can't drive through West Hollywood. It's bum rush.
That sounds like literally from a gay fraternity.
Yeah. Damn, those would be sick. No, so you took pre-workout without telling me, and we're doing our podcast.
In an abusive relationship.
Do you know
I don't have to tell you pre-workout.
That is a performance-enhancing drug for arguments. Maybe you weren't aware of that, but pre-workout.
Oh, I'm not aware of this.
If you give me pre-workout and send me to the Hall of Congress, I will take down any legislation that is being passed through.
You want to snort some? Because that's what Mama did.
Yeah. Oh, really?
No, I didn't snort it. Can you imagine?
I've heard of that.
That's insane.
Have you ever heard of a dry scoop?
Oh, yeah, will you drink it?
No.
Or you just like...
It dry, yeah, you just...
Yeah, I tried that.
Oh, that's like some hardcore...
I said, if TikTok can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, no.
And I mean, you can do it, but like, it didn't do anything different, I don't feel like.
Okay, but back to the... So I feel as though I'm at a disadvantage here because you're gacked out on pre-workout, but I'm going to do my best here. So...
What did you call me?
What do you mean?
A gack.
Oh, yeah, gacked. Wait,
like
is that a slur?
Hate crime.
Oh, it sounds like... No. Listen, you can make anything sound like something else.
I sure can.
No, gacked out is like when you're on
I should have been a lawyer because I sure fucking can.
Yeah, actually, being gacked out means you're on a lot of cocaine. So if you feel like that's a gay slur, maybe you have your prejudices against the community. But no, so vacation... Here's a typical vacation day, right? You wake up pretty late in the morning, right? Then you go to the pool or whatever, hang out. Maybe you have one activity planned, restaurants or whatever. You still have fucking...
Activity, eating.
Yeah, well, that's eating, and then you probably have one activity. You don't count that
as like a life skill, a function?
No.
You said that's our activity for the day.
You need that for fuel, okay? Food is fuel. No, I'm kidding. I'm not one of those guys. But, no, so you have your activities and stuff. You have, like, still 5 hours left in the day. And what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? It's like, it's so fucking... Here's what I do. I wake up...
So many things.
No!
Do you know how many episodes of a show I could watch in 5 hours?
Do
you know how many...
Oh,
do you know how much... I could do so many things. I could literally... I could get into the deepest, darkest YouTube drama and write a dissertation in 5 hours.
You're going to go on a vacation to probably a different, like, state or country that you haven't been in before. You're going to fucking watch TV...
Yeah, I get to spend my vacation. See, you're one of those people. You're the friend who has to plan the fucking vacation, and then everything's like, no, we have this at 3, this at 4, this at 12. It's like, no, I don't. I have nothing to do. I'm on vacation. I'm not fucking moving, bitch. No, I'm not doing it.
You can do that at home, though. Why not stay?
You asked me to go on the vacation. Did I say I went on a vacation? No, because I know I can lay my ass right here and take the vacation, which is why I'm dressed like this, because I'm leisuring.
I don't fuck
Remember
with
when
vacation.
Jenna Marbles leisured? Probably not. Go ahead.
I have no... Yeah, what the fuck is... Who is Jenna Marbles?
Shut, I can't get into that right now. You're making me mad. You're making me mad. Okay. So vacation, yeah, I mean, people really enjoy them, and I think we should be taking more of them now, probably, because now I am actually fucking miserable all the time, so I need the vacation. So, but back then I was getting bullied, that was pretty bad, but still,
right?
I'm fucked.
Would your parents take you on vacations? Did they ever go? No, my
dad's handicapped. Remember? How dare you? Hey, crime.
Oh, right.
No, I would go with our family friends. I would go with people like that.
Right.
And I would go cool places. Florida.
It
is the coolest, but we would go Universal Studios, things like that, which I was really into.
So I've also had really bad experiences on vacation.
The way you're trying to ignore my energy level is truly comedy.
No, I mean you're high right now. You showed up to work high today.
You look like you're in a hostage situation.
I mean, on camera, it looks like I'm in a hostage situation. It looks like you're a fucking Serbian warlord trying to human traffic me right now.
People are gonna love this.
Yeah. My mom. Do you know those phone calls where you answer the phone? It's like a telemarketer, and it goes like, wah, wah. It's like a ship horn.
Yeah, and then it's cruise.
It offers you a cruise. My mom, when you're, she's one of the smartest people I know. But she's also a very hopeful person, and she's a very trusting person.
My mom too, yeah.
Long story short, so we're on a plane to Florida. She signed up for the cruise that they call you on the phone with, right? Now, people don't understand what those entail, because a lot of people don't go on them. So we went down to Florida. They put us in a 5-star hotel, quote unquote, whatever. All you have to do is go on this one timeshare pitch, and then like you're good to go or whatever. So we paid for the plane tickets down. The hotel is where people, I'm sure, stay right after they get out of jail to dry out and then go home, like just to get themselves together. Like they buy the room, but they stay there for 5 hours to shave, look at themselves in the mirror, scream a little bit, and then like go. So there's a shuffleboard floor that was not like cleaned up after I assume an earthquake. It's literally fucking like cracked. There's people falling over drunk. There's people like doing hard drugs in the fucking the common areas of the motel. It was a motel. So my mom immediately has to buy.
But did you get the condo?
So this is the funniest part. So my mom's like, we're gonna buy a room in the hotel next door. Already, we're out like fucking $1,000. Like we're fucked on this vacation. So go to the motel, blah blah blah. Everything's fine. Then she has the condo thing where she has to like go on a car ride with this guy selling the condo. She brings me. I am on the sales drive with this guy trying to cocainedly sell my mom a condo. By the way, this is like before the housing collapse. This is when they were still selling like junk bonds and shit.
Oh yeah.
Like it so this guy is just like, yeah, you don't, no money, like you're gonna be fine. You can take out a loan. The banks are giving them out. You are gonna do blah. And I'm just in the back like, what's wrong with this guy? Why are we on this? Like we're in the shittiest car. It's fucking. This is the best part of the story.
Is this where your style came from? That man really imprinted on you?
Yeah. The trauma of that car.
And you said, I'm gonna be better than him.
So and my mom is like really trying to keep it together, but she's like, oh yeah, totally. Like we'll definitely buy a condo here. Me and my child who's like crying in the backseat will love to live here in Coral Gables or wherever the fuck we were. So the part of the thing is you go on a cruise. That's what the whir is. We have to go on a cruise. The cruise. And let me tell you why it was had to. Let me tell you why we had to. We go there, and when you're at like the steamship or whatever the fuck it's called, like you see Carnival Cruise, and you see these like big, beautiful
it's called the Navy.
Norwegian. No. This is why it kind of was the Navy. You see these big, beautiful cruise ships. We see our cruise ship. So I'm looking at all these cool. It's like, is that ours? Theirs? No. Point to this one. It is a refurbished oil tanker. They said this ship, it turned it into a cruise ship. So it was a cruise ship, but it used to be an oil tanker. It looked like it. It looked like dog shit from the outside. From the fucking,
like one of those cartoon boats, like in black and white.
Yeah. There's steam coming out the top of it. It was whistling. We go on. It's like a fucking party boat for middle-aged people to get fucked up. So people are already drunk.
Just a pontoon with a blue ribbon around it.
It's so bad. And part of our thing was like snorkeling or whatever, and my mom had bought the wrong tickets.
You just snorkeled in PBR.
That might as well have been an activity on this cruise ship. It was a horror. And most cruise ships are horror. But this one was, I didn't know it could get this bad. So
you played games like, who can carry mom with that cigarette over?
Yeah. There were no kids on this. Oh, everyone on that cruise was barren and mad about it, okay? You don't go on that cruise ship if you have kids back at home, okay?
Yeah, it's hard to be barefoot when you ain't pregnant.
Oh, that is true. It's a prerequisite. People don't like it. So, my mom bought these snorkeling tickets, and she realizes it's the wrong day, so she goes to argue with the lady at the front desk. They go back and forth. I'm not there for this. My mom comes back up to the room. We're like, what happened? And she said, I got really mad, and I threw the tickets at this woman's face. She was just at her with that. As I think like 8-year-old, maybe 10-year-old, somewhere in that range, have to go up to the front desk lady and ask for the tickets back. I have to go because my mom like had a freak out. I had to go up there and be like, "Hey, like we're sorry. Like we're gonna figure out a day. Like, can we just get the tickets back,
please, ma'am? Porridge,
yeah."
Please.
And the woman like didn't give it right. She was just like, "I don't know what's up with your mom. Like she's just trying." And I had to be like, "Yeah, she's got a lot of problems. Can we get the tickets back?" I didn't feel that way. I knew why my mom was upset, but I just had to like level with this woman.
She's like, "Yeah, here's your tickets and enjoy the monster truck show."
So fucking funny. It was so. I don't like
The
vacations.
receptionist's name is like Tammy Engine.
Yeah, Jessica Motor. Yeah,
Jessica Motorboater. I just met her.
yeah, that's my cruise name.
That's my crew. I'm a gambler.
It's like a drag name, but way worse.
That's what I like. I'm just going gambling at the cheapest
that's
casino.
Cool. I do love gambling.
You said no. That's cool.
But that's why I don't like vacations very much.
You like gambling?
I do like gambling a lot.
I don't like anything that involves me losing.
Oh, I losing is almost as exhilarating as winning, player. Let me tell you that. No. I went to San Diego to do shows and I lost like $80 right off the spot at a poker table. I love poker. Like poker's a skill. It's not just a gambling.
Dude, okay, and
nobody's
nobody's
it's a fucking skill. You fucking learn it.
Every time someone's talking about poker, I think about that Joan Rivers on The Apprentice when she's arguing with that poker player and she goes, "You're a poker player. You're trash. Your money has blood on it." I'm like, this is incredible.
So your money has blood on it.
She said, "I've worked with your people in Vegas for years."
No, that's what she's definitely talking
in a coat like this.
Yeah, and that's also like she's dated 20 poker players in her life.
So funny. And then she ends up beating that girl in the finale. I'm like,
it's
just so funny. You're a poker player.
You have blood on your money.
That's even an insult. She just made it one because she's Joan Rivers. She said, "You fucking poker player."
By a comedian,
a
stand-up comedian, to be like, your job has no value.
Oh, but she was the one.
Oh, I mean, Joan Rivers is the fucking best ever.
That's so funny though. But yeah, vacations, I mean, they're goofball activities for goofballs.
I don't do that.
And when you take a vacation serious,
yeah,
when you're the person who is like, I have to get my vacation items, I have to prep, I need tiny bottles of everything.
Totally me.
I'm like,
totally me.
Oh, I mean, okay, well, I already have all those things because I just buy shit.
No, I'm not a balls person, but I'm like, hey, I have to have a fucking. If I have an hour just like to myself on vacation, the level of anxiety that cripples me, it's nuts.
You should go to therapy for that. But
no. I'm perfect.
No. But what I'm talking about is the people who pre-prep their whole vacation. Before they even go on the vacation, they're out shopping for vacation looks.
Oh,
they're getting their vacation items. They're like, I'm going on vacation. What color should I tint my body? Like, but those people. You're like, go as you and stop it. Like, I mean, how about that?
Yeah.
But that, I'm just like, I can already tell this vacation is too important to you. When you're like, when every vacation is like another marriage and you're like planning dinners and events and this is the one dress that I took to vacation or this is my one suit or shut up and go lay on the beach. Like, it's very that energy and I don't like it. No,
I'll say this. I think some people put too much value on their vacations. I don't mean that they're not important for a lot of people.
Oh, they're so important, but don't be fucking stupid.
Yeah, well, it's also just like clearly you're predicating your happiness on this like trip you're taking. That has never worked once in the history of the world. If you go on a trip with the idea,
or it's working too good,
or it's working too good, or you're too invested.
And then the vacation is getting more extravagant. And you're like, we're staying in Cinderella's castle this year.
Oh my god!
It's like just go eat the churros and
relax.
Leave.
Yes,
but the planning thing, like that's a horrible situation. I really wish that you unlearn it.
Have you? So you haven't been on a thing that could be considered a vacation in your adult life? Would you say?
No, I mean, I think that there are things that people have told me were vacations that were for sure work, and that's pretty much it. I don't think I've been on like a let's all lounge and hang out. Like, in my mind, a vacation is like it can be small. It can just be like going camping. As long as you're with people and you're just like hanging out and chilling and you're having a good time and you're doing what everyone kind of wants to do on their own and it's just about being together, that's a vacation to me. When it's a bunch of like, when I have to plan things and schedule things, like I'm already doing that. That's my life. I'm scheduling and planning and driving and going.
That's a good point.
And leading into my question that we're going to have in just a minute about the Zodiac, I am a Taurus and I want to lay down.
That's very funny. So I have not. You wouldn't consider the things I do vacations. Now, the things that I've done that could be considered vacations are specifically for like rock climbing and hiking, that I've gone on, like, especially over the pandemic when you couldn't be near anyone.
That works for me. I think that's a great vacation.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go.
I also think that maybe you dress like this and then don't go on vacation, so you trick yourself.
Interesting.
It's like pseudoscience.
Whoa.
You're like, I'm on vacation all the time. My life's relaxing.
Vacation. Right.
But the truth is,
it's completely
you're working
not.
yourself to the bone. You're a Capricorn, right?
I am.
That's why I love money, hate things.
Okay.
I'm the opposite. I love money and things.
But also, the other times I'll go on like a day trip or whatever is expressly to do acid. That's it.
Oh.
No other. I haven't gone on a trip that hasn't been expressly for hiking, rock climbing, or doing hallucinogens.
I've never done acid, so
it's great. It's great.
I don't think I need to see the world any differently than I already do.
I'm
spooked by what I would come up with.
No, see, people are always afraid of their own minds.
Oh, we're sorry.
No, but I don't think it's usually fine. That's what I'll say. It's usually fine when you do a hallucinogen like that.
You know what else is usually fine? Jumping out of a plane, but sometimes you fucking hit the ground.
That's actually a really good analogy.
Thank you.
I do like that. Yeah.
My pre-workout.
Yeah, dude, you are so pre'd out. Don't do that. Do not drink your pre-workout and make eye contact with me.
You looked at me.
Oh my god.
Anyways, my question to you is, how do you feel with the Zodiac? Because I'm gonna tell you right now,
yeah,
it's fun and it's fresh, and I live, laugh, love it. But it also is just a way, and I've said this before, it's just a way to be shitty to people without having to take any consequences for it. It's so I can go, oh, you're a Scorpio? That means you're a big old slut. And then go, but that's just because you're a Scorpio. No, bitch, you called me a slut.
Right. Well, also, isn't that kind of a nice pressure release valve, though? Like, you get to tell people what you actually think about them without having it directly...
No, I think it's a way to not have to get to know someone because you've now generated that you know everything about them based on the stars. When that is fun, and sometimes it is very accurate, and I'm very into it, it's like maybe a conversation opener, but to be like, oh, I can't talk to her, she's a Cancer. You're a Cancer, you fucking... I'm going to cut you out of my life. Well, like, that is not good, and it's annoying, and I think it really shuts down on the ability to learn about other layers of vulnerability and trust in people because you think you're a psychic.
Well, here's my opinion.
WandaVision.
Here's my opinion on this. That, like many of my opinions, makes no one happy and everyone kind of on both sides upset. So on the side of people who are like, fucking astrology sucks. Like,
yeah, they suck too. Let people like things.
It's boring. It's boring to not like astrology. I'll say that. That doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. It doesn't mean that your opinions about it are correct or incorrect. But it's fucking boring. And understand that it's boring. Understand that you're coming to the table with an incredibly boring, incredibly...
When you don't like it?
When you don't like it.
Yeah,
incredibly so boring, incredibly like well-trodden argument of like, well, this is blah, blah, blah. I think that it is a frame to see the world in, like everything in is like everything, any frame to see the world in, there's positives and negatives to it. I think
picture frames, mirrors, one I like better than the other.
So the God, you fucking okay. That was funny. I like the picture frames mirror thing. So you have people who on one end of the spectrum of like being into astrology. I think it does make people a little bit more considerate, even in terms of like just taking the time to really deeply kind of study another person and to like be like, I'm not going to think about myself, I'm going to think about you, and I'm going to like look at all these things no matter how accurate or inaccurate. It's like, I think it's the same as like tarot cards or any form of that sort of quote unquote, I'm definitely going to use the wrong word, but sort of like clairvoyance. Yeah, clairvoyant magic or whatever.
Spooky ookie cookie.
I think if you don't ever say that again. I think that if I think if it's like you're always going to put your own like mental sort of state over these object symbols that you give, and it can really, I think, help ground your ideas and your perceptions that you already have. So let's say,
so what you're trying to say is queer people like astrology, straight people don't, and then girls who don't know what they are like it both.
They like both. Yeah.
Okay, great. I think I understand that.
But so like, let's say I don't think someone's an honest person, but it's hard to really actually form those thoughts into like concrete like A to B ideologies, right? But so I find out that person's a Taurus. It's like, okay, well, Tauruses have these qualities and these qualities and these qualities. So out of those, I can sort of disseminate like, oh, this is why this person acts that way.
Okay, but also based on what you said earlier, whenever we project our own personifications on a thing, when we do stuff like that, now we're just saying we could be projecting those qualities onto the person because we found out what they are, and now we're just seeing them to see them.
Well, that's the negative.
But here's the other thing on Zodiac. Yeah, that is a negative, but also fun. And then the other part of the Zodiac thing that I think it is I sometimes think it's like, it's a really easy way to have a personality as well as to determine other people's. It's a really easy way to be like, well, I'm a Virgo, I'm a this, I'm a that, and to just make that a joke and a personality and a cop out, and you can now make it everything, the whole language of what you want it to be. Like your Zodiac sign becomes you instead of being like an aspect of you, and for some people it becomes like an easy way out. Which that can happen with anything. They can happen with like people do that with being gay, people do that with being straight, people do that with sports. There's a lot of ways you can cope those things.
Right.
But to me, the Zodiac sign is like the magical version of people who do that with like where they're from. Like I'm from Texas, and in Texas, I'm like, oh, you don't believe in magic, so that's your version of this.
Right. Yeah. Texas is your form of Aquarius.
Yeah. You're like, well, in New York, I'm a New Yorker. It's like that's just Zodiacs for people who don't believe in magic.
Very
that's
interesting.
all that is.
So, and you're not saying it's necessarily good or bad. You're just saying it's a way that people. Oh,
if you've noticed,
all good.
I've just been going in a circle. I'm like, it's dumb, but also I love it. Like, because that's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
it's so fun, and I want to talk about it constantly. But also, like, if you don't like me because I'm a Taurus, then eat shit.
I've never really encountered that though. Maybe I'm sure it does exist, but from the people that are into that sort of thing, I think it's just like, again, it's the same thing as, I think everybody has their own form of like intuition, and I think intuition is this thing that is like this nebulous concept that everybody has, but
not nebulous. She was a Marvel girl.
Is Nebulous a Marvel person? Oh, I like that. No, Nebulous, like in the idea of when you, I think like people lose it. Like I think everybody does have these things. It's not necessarily this magical thing. It's this thing where like we're subconsciously aware of certain things, and our brains can put it together without our direct knowledge, and then it can kind of just come out as a fully formed thing.
The easier it is to label ourselves, the easier it is to explain and understand people and ourselves.
Yes, and it really helps, I think, as like a conduit to our own sort of.
Have you been reading spell books? Conduit, Nebulous.
No, but
like, are you a wizard? It turned October, and now you're just speaking in spells, Dan.
Well, I'm an incredibly intelligent
you watched Hocus Pocus 2 once, didn't you?
This is a result of me having being Gemini rising, but that just means I've had sex with a woman in Los Angeles. I know that.
Also, you were saying earlier, like, I've never come in contact with someone who's been like, I don't like you because...
Yeah, I've never.
Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
It's because of the way you look. So anytime... It doesn't matter what you are, you could be like, I'm anything. And they're going to be like, that's my favorite fucking sign.
That's really nice. That's nice of you to say. But that's what I'm saying. That's what, like, the astrology allows you to do. Is like, it doesn't necessarily make you make a prejudgment about someone. I think it just helps you solidify your judgments on them already, and maybe give you a little bit of freedom to judge them.
Having something just solidify your judgment is a judgment.
Yes.
So it is a prejudgment.
Yes.
You just said it wasn't.
No, it is you're making like judgments, but it can both be from like, it can either come from this like catty, like, well, fuck you, so I'm gonna do this I like I said, I haven't met those, but I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Or it can come from...
Oh, you're just saying it could be whatever you want it to be.
It could be whatever you want it to be.
It's good. You know why? Because everything is based on if you're a shitty person or not. Shitty people can make anything shitty, good stuff or bad stuff.
That's how I feel about all religion.
And lovely people can... Oh, yeah. One of my favorite quotes ever is... they say, not to get too deep into religion, but obviously, like, just say, God made man in their image, but you can be sure that man made God in theirs. And I was like, good. That's the one. Whoever wrote that was a shady little man back in the day.
Yeah. That was
or woman, I don't remember who said
that. That was a slippery tiger in the woods. Came up with that. Can you imagine getting pussy from that phrase? That was a man who
lieth with man.
Oh, you think it was?
I love you laughing away from the mic, like I won't let him know, you bitches.
You think it was like a sort of a limerick written by a man who was like, I'll never tell.
I think it was a.
Ooh, interesting.
I think Judas. They say Judas was gay, and I was like, of course y'all did. Of course y'all think the betrayer is gay.
It does sound like something John Waters would say, like, but you can be sure. Like, yeah.
John Waters said,
yeah.
It's very that. But so overall, the Zodiac, you're into it. You're not against it. Have you ever had anyone?
No.
one of my favorite things now people do is like in like Instagram bios or dating bios, it'll just say that's all the information they give you, just their zodiac sign.
Yes.
As if like, Google me, bitch. Like, you figure the rest out on your own. You want to know about me, David,
Benton,
holding this fish?
Let
you better Google
something.
it.
This is not something that I have been subjected to. Because I think women on dating apps know that guys have no fucking straight guys. Because everybody who's looking at my profile is a like straight woman looking for a straight guy, right?
You just know.
Well, or a bi woman who's open minded. But so they know that they don't put the zodiac sign because they know that we're just gonna be like, huh? What is that? What even is a Scorpio?
No, I feel like that's interesting because I feel like it would definitely be in their bios, and I feel like
I haven't seen it.
And then I feel like then men would Google that and be like, now I have an in.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, but you don't want to give everyone
you're being hit on.
You don't
That's a great
question.
question.
Wait, just in general?
Yeah,
it's very subtle.
Like, what are your Oh, okay. Well, what are your You tell us about that. What are the signs and symptoms?
I mean, like I said, women are a lot more like, I wouldn't even say women for the most part, quote unquote, will hit on you. It'll just be like, it's a subtle thing. Like, you have to really pay attention to it for it to like really, it's like I love
a man being like, no, you don't know what a woman thinks. You have to really pay attention. Like, she's not going to tell you how she feels about something.
Well, I feel
that's why you never know if no means no, because you have to really listen.
That's a jump that you just made, but also
jumping for jokes. Ha.
No, so that when like I'll get DMs and stuff that are direct, and like that's always really nice. But I think when a woman's hitting on you when it's just like, that's a good question. Okay, because I feel like women in general, it's like more subtle because I think women in general have to be a little bit more like guarded around dudes because they're more often like hit on. So because of that, it's kind of just that guard being kind of lowered, and then you're like, oh, so it's not necessarily like hitting on you; it's just like a level of comfort. Does that make sense?
So you're saying you don't know what it's like to be hit on. You just know whenever a woman has been or is opening up to the idea of you hitting on them.
Yes.
Okay.
Mostly. Yes.
Well, that seems like a very nice thing to do. That seems like you're really waiting for the right setting, like for it to feel right. And that way there is no question of like, is it a yes? Is it a no? Am I being annoying? Am I not? You're like letting her kind of lead it. Yeah. Which is that's actually really nice to go slow. I mean, unless it's like, she's like, what the fuck is he doing? And
I also like, I try to be subtle. I mean, like I was going through old DMs and a lot of them were me just like kind of cold hitting on women by commenting on their stories and then them not responding. So I've done that too. Cold calling.
Not
yeah. I'm in the room, dude. I'm in the boiler room. Boop, boop, boop. Hello. Do you yes, I will are you boyfriend? Oh, okay. And she hung up.
Said, I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow.
That would be a great opening. They would love that. No, but so I've definitely like just blatantly been like, yeah, let's just like respectfully, but like let's just message this person that I think is hot. I think everybody
did you start it with or end it with respectfully? Did you say like, your body is out of this world?
Oh yeah, I need to see the booty respectfully.
Yeah. Respectfully.
No, yeah. I mean that's so funny because I think a lot of guys
that's how gay people get on each other.
Yeah, do they?
Yeah. Respectfully. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Damn, yeah, he was kind of hitting on women just like pretty openly like a gay guy would. That's pretty interesting. Adam Levine. Those messages are funny because I think every guy's reaction to that was, this is clearly embarrassing and a very heightened version, but also something that if you went back on anyone's like sexting DMs, I don't think anyone would be painted favorably.
Yeah, and I also don't think that anyone. I mean, obviously when someone is like consenting to sexting and stuff. So I'm not saying like you don't. There's no who knew they didn't want that. But what I am saying is like I think once you get into sexting, or into even like heavy flirting and it's like consensual on both sides, which is easy to tell again, then you like no one's DMs. You're not going to get like good positive things. This is unrelated to Adam Levine.
No, totally.
But I mean, like you're not going to, because most people are talking about things that like they wouldn't not normally be talking about,
right?
Or saying things in a way that is now like
Oh, of course, yeah, but it is one of those things where wait. So how do
Again, this isn't related to Adam Levine. I don't know anything about that.
No, but going back to your question, I mean, like, there's a lot of ways, I think, to know when a woman's hitting on you. Like I said, sometimes it'll just be, like, very blatant, like, I would like to have sex with you. And then other times it is, like, much more subtle. And you have to really
listen to that.
And you have to listen to that and be like, interesting, I'll try to figure out what that means later on. How do you know when you're being hit on?
I don't.
You have no idea.
No. I don't think that happens. I don't have a really come hit on me vibe. We talked about those.
Right.
I don't. I think that's the only thing. I mean, and then in real life, never. I mean, and then on the internet, it's just something gross all the time.
Always gross. Yeah.
It's just like something. I mean, just wild shit. You're just like, what?
Interesting. Yeah. No. I think what is your take on the whole woman posting the Adam Levine sexts? What do you think about that?
I mean, I honestly didn't read that much into the story. I've just seen the memes about it.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't really have. I mean, to me, it's like that didn't happen to me, and I wasn't involved in it, so I don't really know like I don't like whatever they think they needed to do. Great. I just don't know. I don't care.
No, I think
unless he was. I mean, if we're only mad at, I don't really know what would happen. I don't know if like obviously cheating is like not good. I'm not really into that. But I don't know if they were saying he was like doing it against their will, or if it was just leaked that they were just doing it.
I don't think it was an against the will thing. I think the person had said I was like young and naive when this happened. But I think it does sort of bring a broader conversation to question, which is because like clout is such a commodity now. I do wonder if like people are going to need, especially celebrities, are going to need to just change their actions based on that. Because it's like back in the day, if you slept with Louis Armstrong or whatever, and like, like let's say your grandma slept with Louis Armstrong and she took like a Polaroid picture of herself with him in bed. It's like that would just be something for her to share with other people and be like, oh, I slept with Louis Armstrong. Isn't this crazy? But now, like, there's so many instances of, like, NFL players, like, women sleeping with NFL players and then taking pictures with them in bed, like, haha. Julian Edelman, a receiver for the Patriots at the time, had that happen to him. Where, like, after the Super Bowl, he had sex with a woman.
I think that sharing anyone's personal and private stuff. Now, granted, if it's like gross and it's bad and it's like against your will and not consensual, then you can share that shit because I don't think bad people should go bad things.
I agree with that.
I don't think bad people should go. I think that's disgusting. But if it's like if this was like if you're both adults and you both made this decision and you're like sneaking pictures of people, that's messed up. Or if you're collecting DMs to leak, like that's really weird and gross to me.
But that's not how the world works anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's not how people seem to operate now.
Well, we're just listening. I mean, I think most people look at things, look at the actual information given, and then make a decision. That's what I'm hoping people do, based on what they're really seeing. But I think there are obviously people that are just going to look at something and see a headline or a meme and be like, "That's the truth." Whenever that's why I said I don't know. I didn't read the story, so right. I don't know if it was consensual or if it was like if he was like harassing them. So if he was, then I'm like, yeah, girls, you go tell us. But if it was consensual, then I'm like, is this just to embarrass him or what? Like
totally.
But I think that's just the world's full of shitty people on both. I mean, you're just going to have to. I don't think that. I guess to answer your question, I just don't think that we can like. I don't think that's necessarily getting anyone clout. Like you're not. That's going to be all it's doing is if you're doing it to be rude. Like if you're saving up DMs
this person who leaked this.
Like you're not really getting clout.
Celebrity though.
But I don't know who that person is. Do you? What's their name?
No. I mean, we can say that, but I'm sure that they got like more subscribers. I'm sure that they got more followers, and that's currency now. That's what I'm saying.
I don't really think they did because I just don't ever like I don't.
No, totally
I can't name one single person that has like told a story of something happening to them, or maybe this is different, or given up information that was like that has reaped major benefits or that is like living some big life. I think that most people are doing it for a better reason than that. I just don't think there's any. I mean, like I can't even think of like even stories in the past that have come out about people, whether it be scandalous or like horrible. Those people aren't like they don't have like handbag lines or in movies. Like I don't know what they're profiting off of. Like even if you have followers doesn't really mean anything.
That's a really...
I mean, you may have gotten a couple interviews, but they don't even pay for that because that's against journalistic rules and shit. So like, it's like I don't think you're really gaining anything from that. I think that maybe I'm sure there are people out there that think if they do that they will, but I think the majority of that is I think that's very rare. I think when most people are saying something, it's for a reason. I don't think it's to be like shitty. That's just my opinion.
That's a really great point. I will say this though. I mean, I'm not to skirt over that point. That is a really great point where it's like the long-term benefits of doing something like that. Now, that maybe
in fact, the only people that I really think who benefit off of like whistleblowing in some sense are men. Like I mean, Hannibal Buress like obviously did something really good about the Cosby thing. Wasn't he? Didn't he do that?
Yes. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So like, I mean, which is amazing that he did that. Sure, but I mean, like we all know about him and talk about that. Like. I'm thinking like, a lot of times whenever like I think men stand up for things like, even if they're doing the right thing, like and they are, I think they are.
Edward Snowden gets to live in Russia now. I mean,
that's pretty cool. Like Ronan Farrow does a lot of it, journal, and we're like we know about all these things he's doing.
Well, that's not what I'm talking.
But we probably can't tell you the women who actually you're giving the information.
I'm definitely not talking about people who share like credible stories of abuse and trauma either. I'm not talking about that.
Of course, yeah. I'm just saying, but in general, I can't think of anyone who's benefiting off of sharing a story like that, especially long term.
That's the thing, though, and that again, I don't want to skirt over how good a point that is because thinking about it, it's like you're right. A lot of those people haven't gained long-term benefit, at least in like the public eye or in our eyes, because like we don't get to follow them. But
there's nothing wrong with the ones that did because they obviously great,
right? But I'm saying like in more minor examples of this, not in like I leaked this story. Here's the early versions of this are like, hey TMZ, here's a picture of Natalie Portman picking her nose. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, and their call out culture is this thing that is a really tricky topic because in certain points that shit is incredibly toxic, and a lot of the times it is people trying to dunk their way into Twitter stardom. That doesn't mean that everybody who comments on, or posts like a joke or a video is going to become famous off that right there, but it's like a cumulative effect. Does that make sense?
Then you would have to get rid of all like meme makers, because there are people who are memes that are just regular people that are also getting their picture used in images and not benefiting from that at all.
True.
So I mean, you're really that if you can't like share things like that. I mean, it's messed up. I think it's gross when people are like, here's a picture of so and so in a bikini, or here's someone doing something embarrassing, picking a wedgie. That'd be like a whole page in like those magazines. Like celebrities picking wedgies. Like that's really weird. But I think in the grand scheme of things, those people who are getting pictures of their wedgies taken, like, we should stop doing that, and that is gross. But in the grand scheme of things, you're really benefiting more than you're losing.
Yeah, and you're saying you can't really stop like the internet from doing what it's doing. I kind of,
and you don't get the other benefit their way. Like if someone makes a meme of like a regular person having a breakdown and they turn a clip into a meme,
right,
they're not benefiting anything from that. The way that like at least her picking her wedgie or whatever is, at least she still made $40 million in that Disney movie.
Something like that.
So there's some, that's a little. It's not the same level. You're punching up and down.
Oh, that's an interesting point. So you're kind of saying because of Adam Levine's existence in the public eye and the fact that that's like gained him such a huge portion of success, because of that, it is a little bit more justified to share these stories of him because his life is already public. No, you don't. Okay.
I don't think if these were two adults that were talking, again, I don't know the story, but if they were talking and it was consensual, and now this person is just sharing these because they're like, I'm mad at his wife, or
he cheated on his wife, so I want to share that story. If they're doing it just to be vicious
like that, and Adam Levine's like, I mean, I also don't know Adam Levine as a person. Was he really horrible to these people? Is he an asshole?
That's a great point, too. We don't know.
So maybe they're sharing this because he deserves that shit. I don't know him. He seems nice from everything I've seen. He seems like a likable guy, but I also don't. I have no idea about him. So, like, I think it is shitty to share something just to hurt someone for no reason. However, if someone is just a horrible person, and you can I don't know, knock them down a peg or two if they're doing something bad, then I guess that's justifiable. But I don't think in this case, if you're just trying to like embarrass him or break up his marriage or whatever, it's gross to like hoard someone's personal comments and do that. Like imagine if one day imagine if every joke you've like text your friend or something, people were just cropping those things out, and they were like, "Here's all the horrible things Dan said," with no context.
Oh
like,
man,
I mean, when there's a lot more to it. Like maybe you are a piece of shit. Maybe you are a gross person, Dan.
Right.
But like,
wait, why did you get so personal?
You know what I mean? But like, maybe you are.
Maybe I am.
But like, and then you deserve that. But maybe that's out of context, and these people don't know your character, and so now you just look really horrible. So I don't think everything is black and white. That especially in situations like this, people have to like listen to the story, get the information, and then be like, okay, is there a pattern of Adam Levine doing this? It doesn't even matter. It's not my business.
Yeah, but don't you think,
or is this a mistake? If it's a mistake, that's different than a pattern.
Don't you just think it's weird that we live in a society that, and I think like there's really heightened versions of this that I'll give examples of, but we live in a society now where I think people are incentivized on top of everything, on top of like honor or truth or whatever. They're incentivized to get the most likes, get the most clicks, get the most retweets possible. And that can be shown in like, I mean, you can go all the way to like gang violence that now exists heavily on social media and is fueled by a lot of things that happen on social media.
Yeah, social media can be very horrible.
Oh yeah, I mean people.
But if you're someone who already is so into it that you know that you're worried about views and clicks in that kind of way that you're willing to make up lies and stuff, I would say that you're probably a shitty person to begin with.
Right.
Because that's or not even shitty. You just don't have a grasp on reality. You think that really is true. Because the truth is, those likes and clicks and everything do not equate to anything if no one cares about what you're doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't. And if you're hung up on that, you have no grasp on what matters.
I agree.
You would do something bad, like think, if I do this, I'll get this reward. When in the truth, that's not what's going to happen.
But it doesn't even have to be lies. Like in this one instance, a person in this one instance of gang violence, I just saw a documentary on it, which is like such a crazy thing to watch. How social media plays a part in like literal murders and stuff. But a person was shot, and the person who was riding with them like pulled into a hospital, and while they were getting carted out, the dude like took a video of him and the guy and was like, I can't believe what happened, like blah blah blah. And then everybody obviously is commenting like, this is a dead body that you're taking this video of. Like, what's going on in your mind? And I think it's literally the shock and awe factor now seems to outweigh everything. And it's like, I think people are willing to put their personal integrity to the side. I think people are willing to put, and not even personal integrity. I think
you're right, but I also don't think that's right.
Go ahead.
I think more my point I was trying to make is that a good person, a rational person, a sane person would not value a like over the things you're talking about. That is already a person whose level of importance is skewed. They're living in a fantasy where they think likes and followers matter. They're like fantasies.
That
like
fantasy is being propagated by multi-billion-dollar corporations that are telling you that fantasy is real and that you should continue to follow that fantasy. Now, I'm not saying people don't have free will, but I'm saying free will can be shifted and manipulated by powers that be pretty heavily. Of course,
but I think what I'm saying is I think the majority of people go through life knowing. That's why I like the now. I heard someone else say that some comedian has a joke about how rap songs are fantasies, or maybe it was, I don't know who it was, but has one, and they're like, because no one's really like, most people can't afford to buy 40 bottles, you know, and most people can't afford, so you're living, but you're in your car singing about it, and I'm like, that's a great like it's analogy.
Fun. Yeah.
But I think most people know they know that. They know, like, just like when you play a video game, this isn't the real world. Like, you know, people are like, it'll influence the way you think. Like, but most people know that's not true. If you buy a Kylie Jenner lipstick, you're not going to be Kylie Jenner and now get to live like her.
I agree with that whole. I agree with what you're saying about like specific instances that of like violent video games are what's causing mass shootings, and it's like, well, they have violent video games in countries where they don't have in fact, more Japanese, like the sales in Japan.
You have samurais fighting angels, girl. Like, what?
No, and like video games in Japan and movies in Japan. I mean, I've seen like Japanese horror films that are so crazy violent, so much more than I've ever seen in American movies. So it's like, but what I'm saying is not
because
influencing
they know the truth about reality.
Not influencing like direct. Like if you watch this will happen or whatever. But I think it does. Like social media does. I mean, obviously affect our actions on social media, and I think that our actions on social media are part of our lives. It's like, I don't think it's two separate things. I think if you spend your life force and energy to whatever degree on social media, that is you. That is like your life. You are spending time on it. So it can't also be this like complete dichotomy.
Social media is, I think that, yeah, it is your life, but I think most people are using social media to show their highlights, not their life, really. They're showing, they're curating this real thing.
Totally.
They're not actually like, so what they're doing is they're looking at social media to be like, what do I need to look like, do, or be so that I can now have the exact same life as this other person. I don't think people are really like being influenced. Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess they are, because, you know, they're also because also people like will come in and be like, you know, to get their makeup done, and they're like, I want to look like this. And it's like, well, makeup should enhance your features and your beauty, not change your face to another person's face.
Right.
I mean, it can, but like, that's not really the point of it. So we are being influenced on a lot of ways like that. But I think the amount of people who like really think if I embarrass this celebrity, I'll become a celebrity, I think is smaller than the amount of people who think this is my end. Like, how are you gonna?
Right.
That's like, even if that worked, it'd be a one-hit wonder. What are you gonna do to carry that out? I think people forget that very few people are famous or celebrities for nothing. Very few people are just that for nothing.
Yeah, for
most of them
nothing.
have to keep up doing the same thing to remain at the level they're at, or they are, or we forget.
Right.
Because everything is changing. So I think that people that are doing that and who would have that intention exist. I think everything kind of exists in some way. But I think they're a much smaller group. They're just a more interesting and louder group to talk about on the internet.
That's probably completely true.
Because we also have to remember that, like, everything is on the internet now, so all these like newspapers and magazines, like, they need things to talk about. So they're taking anything. It's more interesting. You'll click on something that says something crazy, clickbait, whether the facts are there or not, like this podcast, where the facts are not there or not, and you know what I mean. And because that's how they keep their job. So like, they're keeping a job by now using all this craziness to get you to click on their thing, and so it just becomes this like cycle of like, what is the most clickbaity, and that's how everybody keeps their jobs, because you can't really be telling the truth and keep your job. There can't be that many people because it's not interesting to everyone.
You make a really great point there about like, well, this is not the majority of people online. This is a minority of people online who are trying to like get famous off of other people's backs. And it's like, that is true. However, that is the stuff that sort of gets to the front pages of stuff. Like, that level of negativity. And it's like, I am definitely warped by being an LA comedian, because there are so many LA comedians whose whole thing online is like negativity towards other people that are in places that they wish they were. Like, so much of LA comedy is like, fuck this other comic who's like playing a show that I wish I was playing. They suck and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, that is true, but I think whenever we talk about, when we compare those kind of things, when we say like, oh, people can like leak pictures of, you know, like again, someone picking their wedgie, like tabloids will post that is sucky and it's shitty. But when we try to focus the thing on like how bad that is, and how people will use that to gain exposure, I think it cheapens really important conversations whenever like women come forward, because now we have to be like, well, it could be for this, whenever that's not the same thing, but now we're using that as this gauge of like how truthful someone is.
No, that's a great point, but it's also why some of this stuff is like confusing, because in those incredibly like sincere and justified usages of social media in order to call out someone who's in power, who's like misusing their power and should be whatever, you are using the same sort of like system that is used for sort of like the trivial nonsense. And I think that's what leads to most of these arguments.
A scapegoat for bad people. But it's just like, it's like the people that like say that, and this, maybe people will get mad at me for this, but it's like the people that will take what trans people have fought for and then try to like mutilated into something different. Like for instance, there's a documentary on those people that think that they were born and they say, I should have been born disabled, so I want doctors to cut my legs off. And their justification is that, well, trans people get to change, so I should be allowed to like cut my arms off to be disabled. And it's like, sure, the logic is the same, I guess, but now you're cheapening this thing. So now people are going like, see, whenever you let trans people do this, it makes people crazy. And like, that's not the same thing. And so I think that it kind of is the same pendulum as like, we have to be able to see the difference in those two things, and I think most people do, but it is more beneficial for the internet companies to show us clickbaity things than to show us actual true stories, because it's sad, it makes you rethink things, and it makes things too real, and people live off of like nostalgia and nonsense because things are already too real in their own life. And I think that when we compare the two things, it really cheapens important stories, which is why I hate when someone's like, well, this is cancel culture. Cancel culture and calling someone out for being a shitty person are not the same thing, and you are conflating them because you are scared of something. That's what that now you've conflated the two as like this wall to protect you against something you did or didn't do, or some fear you have. You know what I mean? Like, whenever it's very clear that those two things are not the same thing, being canceled because you were an asshole and being in trouble for being a predator of some kind. Those are two different things.
Well, it's also something that I've always kind of thought and held like dear is, I think a big sign of not only like intelligence is such a stupid way of putting it, because it's not just intelligence, but like
#intelligence is stupid.
That's pretty good. But a big sign of me that I can like have a conversation with a person and we can kind of see eye to eye, no matter what they believe, is if you can critique your own side on certain things. I'm like, we can have a conversation and stuff. So when it comes to like the clickbaity shit, the issue with that is the sort of conversations it engenders is I have to completely like theologically believe in my argument to have a conversation with you, and anyone who agrees with me is right and anyone who disagrees with me is wrong. And the issue with that is when you engender
that #engender.
When you have engender neutral is how I feel.
And gender, girl.
Yeah, and gender. No, so when that happens, when the silly stuff comes up, when those things that come up that cheapen your argument come up, if you have that mindset of like teams and like, this is my team and whoever's on my team is on my team and I have to fucking defend it, that shit that cheapens it will inevitably come up, and you'll have to like, I've seen this so often directly with people who have to publicly defend shit that they know is silly, and then behind closed doors they're like, yeah, but that shit's bullshit though. But that's bullshit.
I've come in contact with some people who get on stage and tell jokes and they have to get off and be like, oh my god, like
can you
I
believe
hope they understand that was a joke. Like, it's, I mean, because like, people are wild, like, and it does. But that's the first thing people want to do, is they want to be like, well, this person could be lying because this person, and they'll tell you a story that is in no way related to the thing we're talking about. Right. This is a hell of a conversation to have on vacation. Also, this has taken such a fucking turn from the get-go.
This is vacation for me.
Up, you son of a biatch.
This is vacation for me. It's having fucking conversations like this. This is where I feel at the beach.
Just trying to get us off some Reddit page where people critique everything we said and break it down until someone tries to put it on a loop and take it out of context, and then we're ruined forever. Wow.
No, but it's like, I was like,
what if Adam Levine doesn't want to work with me?
Oh, could you imagine? That would be so sad.
Me and him.
Oh, could you imagine that pairing on stage?
The tattoos and
yeah. Adam probably does have a tattoo of you on there somewhere.
I mean, who doesn't?
Who doesn't? But no, it's like it. Like I was like a Bernie.
I keep drinking into the microphone like ASMR. Sorry,
no, there's nothing wrong with that. People will enjoy it. Ugh. I was like a Bernie Sanders guy. Like I liked Bernie. I wanted Bernie to win. But there's so much like dumb bullshit.
You're really going in on this episode.
But there's so much dumb bullshit on like on leftist politics that like I would see and I'd be like, Yeah, I don't believe in that, but I do think if we have, like, if the money is there, which it seems to be there, we should have free healthcare.
Most people don't believe all that crazy stuff. That's what I think. It's just the people
agree.
that are the loudest are the ones we are talking about, because it is so insane.
But then people
to think those things.
People in the middle, if you have this mindset of teams, people in the middle then have to co-sign that kind of craziness.
Right, but everything should be in the middle, and I think most people are just like in their head, they're like, yeah, that's what I think, but they're in the middle, because two things can exist at once. Two things can be happening. You know what? 3 or 4 can be happening at once. There can be many things.
What about 5 or 6?
Yeah, 7 or 8.
Wait, what the fuck? That's too many numbers.
I'm just letting you know, a lot of things can be true at one time. There is no black and white, but this goes back to something we talked about earlier in the episode. Our people brain, our little tiny people brain, needs to label everything to understand it. We need to understand stuff, and to do that, we need to break it down to its simplest components, because God forbid you sit for an hour like this and have conversations.
Right.
Because, you know what I mean? Like, we need to move on. We need to know, who am I safe with? Who am I not safe with? Who can I say this around? Who can I not say this around? Instead of just sitting down and being like, is what I think shitty or is it good? Is this beneficial or is it not? Could it be both?
The best example of this is that there was a DSA meeting, which is like a socialist meeting or whatever. And this video got out about it a while ago, where like they closed the meeting and they're like, all right, that's great. And then this guy was like, they go up and they'd say stuff like point of privileges, where they feel, and this guy came up and he was like, point of privilege, like I'm like incredibly sensitive to like noise and stuff, so if we could like stop making so much noise and all the side talk. It's like, I think he's claimed like some form of neurodivergence, which maybe he has or maybe he doesn't, but he's like, guys, if we could please like stop this, blah blah. Then someone gets up and goes, point of privilege, can we please not use gendered language and refer to the entire room as guys or whatever. And it was this clip that like got out there and got to like right-wing news outlets, and everybody shared it, and everybody was like, look how silly these people are, like blah blah blah. And it's like, obviously that's a small clip from a bigger meeting that was, and
also that's an extremist take on something. It's to show you an extremist point of things, because no one in the world is hung up on every little thing you do. I have never been in a group of people and everyone's having a problem at once.
But also, it's like, I agree with most of
their... the Real Housewives?
I agree with most of their like political points. It's like, yeah, like I totally believe, but it's like most people who are with like all the ideas of that group on that see that video and go like, oh yeah, that's silly. But they take that clip and then they paint all of the left like that. And when you go on Fox News, that's literally what they think everybody. And it's like, if you're right wing, it's like, I'm sure you're getting the same thing from fucking CNN.
Yeah,
I'm sure
totally.
like
you're getting painted to be as something crazy.
Yeah, where it's like, sure, I don't agree with a lot of your ideas, but also I don't think everybody on the right is fucking storming the Capitol.
No,
I don't
because
think
that's silly. That's silly logic to have. Whenever it's because. And the truth is, no one's really, unless you're insane, no one's really left or right. You are in the middle somewhere. Because life is not like that. Many things, you don't know what your life is going to become, what kind of child you could have that could change your perspective, who you're going to meet. You do not know. So you have to just go, what we should really be doing instead of playing sports with all these things is being like, hey everyone, here's how you generally treat people with respect. Let's just go from there. Sometimes you'll mess up, and sometimes you'll get it right. But, like, just start with that. Is that how you want someone to talk to you, instead of being like, excuse me, you're being too loud. Excuse me, you're saying guys. Excuse me, you're too tall. It's like, okay, all those things can be true, and you can be respectful of all of them without being an annoying piece of shit. Like, you can get all those things. I guarantee you someone could have had all those problems, and a regular group of people could have been in a room and accommodated everyone.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone would have been fine, but now it becomes a war of like, I'm not going to be nice to you because you're not going to do this for me. And it's like, shut up.
Right.
Kindness is not currency.
100. That's a great one. That is true. Yeah, it's a baseline that you can start, and if you don't start with that fucking baseline, things are going to go downhill.
It's like when people meet a celebrity and they're like, they were so nice, they said hello to me, they talked to me for a minute. That's being a person. That is not that you can't now defend someone for the rest of your life because one time they smiled at you in a Chuck E. Cheese.
Right.
Also, why were you at a Chuck E. Cheese?
Why was Matthew McConaughey at a Chuck E. Cheese?
It's just like that is not the gauge. You could say I had a nice experience with this person, but you can't be like, I don't believe that they don't pay their assistants because they were nice to me. Right. Did they give you $1,000 as a tip? No. Then shut up. Like, and even if they did, that does not discredit how they are. Like, you have that, you don't know that person. Like, you have to, you again, I'm going to go back to this. You have to use the pattern you are seeing of people. Granted, I know people with PR can manipulate their pattern, but you can't take everything away. I mean, come on.
Right.
Like, look at people's entire line, not one fraction of a story, and now either decide upon a person what they are or are not.
Right.
And that's just so annoying. People do that all the time, especially when you work in retail. People are like, oh my God, can you believe so-and-so came in here? And it's like, no, literally, I'm still working here. I don't give a shit. Like, it did not affect my life in any way.
Yeah, it'll be some crazy shit. They'll be like, Matthew McConaughey came into my flower shop because his mom died, and he was rude to me. No, I like Matthew. He's a cool guy. I like it. He's a good guy. But they'll be like, fucking Tom Hardy came in to the hospital because his leg was broke, and he was honestly like not even really present in our conversation.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Someone who's like, can you believe Kate Winslet returned her blouse? Did she not like it? Like, shut up. It's of course they go both ways. People just try to make them. It's like. God bless Taylor Swift. In the South, everyone and their mom has been to school with Taylor Swift. They all went to school with Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah, they all hung out with Taylor Swift.
Everyone was her best friend, and she was a bitch. She's a bitch. Is she a bitch, or is she on the cover of Vogue, and you're upset about it? Like, what is the truth?
Great question.
I mean, I don't know if maybe she is a bitch, but it seems like she's real sweet in all these songs, and that's all I know about her.
All
I know about her.
And the private jet logs.
Now, if I meet her in real life, and I spend, a year or so with her, and she's a bitch, but this girl's a bitch.
Right.
But I don't know her, and right now she seems like a lovely person who's doing her best. So that's all I got to go off of is that pattern that I have seen. So I don't believe that she was rude to all of you in school.
Yeah, maybe not in school.
What was she doing in school? Playing the banjo with pigtails? Like, what was she doing? Leave her alone.
Let her play the banjo and pigtails.
Damn. All she's doing is singing and posting pictures of cats. Like, Jesus Christ.
Right, they're listening to her.
What did she do to you in high school?
They're listening to second grade Taylor Swift. Like, how have you had this many breakups already?
As if we all aren't fucking assholes in high school. Everyone's an asshole in high school. Because everyone... I mean, nowadays I will say people are probably a little different about that. But they're probably assholes in new ways, I'm sure.
Definitely.
But in school, everyone is an asshole because everyone is just trying to not be the one who is talked about. Everyone is like got their armor on, and they are like, I will say anything, so you are not saying something about me. It's how I felt like high school went. Everyone was trying to pass the potato, hot potato, and I was the potato, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like everyone's trying to do that. So you were all assholes in high school. Newsflash, me, Dan, all of us. We were all bullied. We were all assholes. That's just the truth.
Ways.
I mean, even if you were popular, which granted, yes, blah, blah, there's privilege that comes in that. We're not stupid. I've seen movies. So there is privilege that comes in that. But also, all the fucking Dungeons and Dragons kids hated the popular people and talked shit about them, were horrible to them. Like, what is the difference? 100%. Except for one has great hair and one has glasses. Like,
There was
and you can take those off. I've seen movies.
I know who this kid was, but in track, high school track, I was captain of the track team, and they have like votes. So like the whole team votes for captain of the track team. There was this kid who I swear,
so it's a democracy, thank God.
It's a democracy, thank God. So there was this kid. I never did anything wrong with him. He always had a chip on his shoulder. He kind of fits. I'm not gonna say like
I never did anything wrong with him.
No, wrong to him. Sorry, I never did anything wrong with him. He and I never did anything wrong under the eyes of God.
We were good boys, mama.
Under the eyes of God, we never did anything wrong.
Can you get in frame?
Wait. Oh, am I out of frame?
Thank you.
We never went down to the creek when you said we weren't supposed to.
Went down to the river to pray.
Run about that good old way. So when they voted for whatever, he fit the description of like quote unquote Dungeons and Dragons. I know that's not but he was more of like a bookish kid or whatever, and he wrote just not Dan, like not Dan. I don't want Dan to be like captain of whatever, and he would constantly like do these weird little things. He was like much younger than me and shit, but he would constantly do these like weird sideways like glances of me, and whenever I told the team to do something, he would just like completely ignore me and then listen to the other people. And I was like
describing a crush.
I was like, what did I? Oh yeah, no, I don't think so. Damn, he was.
I've seen movies.
He was from a heavily religious background.
So see, he could have been.
Could have been.
He's like, not Dan, because I can't imagine him running in front of me.
But the dichotomy...
Or behind me? Oh, God. Like, that's what's happening.
The dichotomy of, like, bullies and bullied, while it exists certainly in very big scales to certain people, most people have been kind of bullies and have been kind of bullied. And even if you paint yourself into one of those camps, definitely the other one happened to you. And a lot of people are reluctant to admit that. A lot of people are more likely to be like, I was bullied, and then to admit that they also bullied other kids.
Of course. Yeah. And like that, absolutely people are, because then you get to be the victim, and then you get sympathy, and people love sympathy.
Oh yeah.
I know I did that. I was so worried about people saying bad things about me that I would and I could be funny, I hope. And so I was deflecting that shit left and right. I was like, well, what about this about you? What about this about her? And because that was my defense mechanism.
Were you one of those kids?
And it took me, and honestly, and then I had to grow up and realize you can't be like that in real life, and had to unlearn a lot of that shit.
Were you one of those kids where someone would say hey, I don't like your shirt, and then you would be like, well, your mom's addicted to pills? Were you one of those people that would go, yeah?
In fact, one time, oh my god. One time I was leaving class. We were leaving school for the day, and me and my friend, I drove everyone, because I love to drive people around.
Oh yeah.
And so we were getting in the car, and this girl that was fighting with my friend like screamed something rude at her. I didn't really hear what it was, but I just went, whatever, Mennonite shoes, like that. And then I guess her mom yelled something at me, and I thought it was the girl, and I was like, bitch, shut up. And I said that, and then the mom came over to my car. She had no teeth. And she was like, you faggot, and this, that, and the other. And I rolled down my window like a fucking movie. I rolled down my window and I said, can you take, I said, ma'am, can you please get away from my car and possibly go buy some fucking teeth with your piggly wiggly check? And then I rolled the window up and I said, move. And I drove off. And I just thought I was like, because I mean, she was saying crazy shit to me. Like she was, so many slurs. That is a horrible thing to say. When I said it was mean as shit, it was dirty and nasty, and I would not say it now. But I mean, she had no problem. I mean, she was a grown woman, and I was 16, and she was like, faggot, homo. But she was, anything you could think of, she was saying. Sure. And she was like, I'm going to have this person come beat your ass. And I was like, this is me. This is my moment.
You know what they say.
And I said that shit to her, and I drove off. And then, obviously everybody's parents got involved, and we had to go talk about it in the office and everything, and I retold the story verbatim to my principal, who then started laughing. So then the lady got more mad and started being mad at me again, and went back in. And so I just sat there, and then she had to send someone else for the pickup line.
So fucking
But see,
funny.
That was rude of me, and also rude of her. But like all kinds of shit I would do.
Well, you know what they say, mean. When you wrestle with the Piggly Wiggly, you both get dirty, but only one of you will like it.
Also, I love the Piggly Wiggly.
Who doesn't? One of the greatest grocery chains of all time. Yeah, no, but I mean, it's one of those things where also, like, when you're in a state of being like people are bullying you, or they're like making you literally like quote unquote victimizing you, however you want to put that, but like when they're putting you in the position of like, we're making fun of you, we're ganging up on you, a lot of the time that person who is bullied will not be like a Christ figure and turn the other cheek and be like, oh well, this is happening to me, but my time will come. It's like, no, you usually deal with that by becoming really good at being mean and rude yourself, because that's how you fucking combat it. And it's like this expectation put on people.
Now I do think that people feel differently now, because it's so much easier to see support and love places. Even if you don't know the person, it is easier to be like, you know what? There are a bunch of mean people in my class, but I know I can go to YouTube and Instagram and all these places, and I have a community, and I can at least find some comfort there. That is very new. I don't think people really understand how new that is.
Damn, I never even really considered. I've only thought of the internet as a negative, but I never really. But a lot of people
have. That's how they have friendships. That's the reason we can experience what life is like for someone in, Seoul, because we can see it now. We can see what their day is like. We can watch them blog. We can hear about their experiences in a different part of the world. And now we've gathered more empathy and more understanding from it. And so it's much easier to feel like I don't have to be an asshole back to someone, because I know there are other people in the world that think like me. Whereas most people in school, even nowadays, honestly, I bet in being in high school is such a traumatic point of life anyways, that the microscope you have on the world is to an 8-hour day in one building with the same group of people. Yeah. So it feels really big. So you're going to have these really big reactions and be like, I have to defend myself by being rude. Granted, they have the internet too, but also there is a culture of like, I have receipts, and having an attitude is a personality. And you know what I mean? So like there is a bunch of new things, I'm sure, that are affecting people being rude in high school now. But it is easier to be like, I can be nice and turn the other cheek, because I know this will change, because I can see it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Thanks.
No, I do. I'm just kind of absorbing what you're saying, and
Do you
it's
feel like people
yeah, go ahead.
are looking up this podcast or like maybe just seeing it on Spotify and they're like, and they think it's like two cat people that are really going to be discussing a basket of cats, and then they're gonna and then we're going to be talking about how mean it is whenever Hoarders Buried Alive comes and takes them out of the freezer.
Yeah, we're listening
and
to a
they're
woman
like,
call
wait a minute, this is not what I thought it was.
Yeah, they think it's like a cat-based podcast. Then they hear about you getting called the F slur and then making fun of a woman for having no teeth.
Yeah,
and they're like, when are they going to get to the feline?
And they're like, but what about the long hairs? What about the Siberian no hair? Is that one?
A Siberian no hair? I don't know. A Scottish short.
A tabby?
A Scottish short is a kind.
Yeah. See, people. This is for them. This is for the cat people that tuned in.
Yeah, there you go.
It's funny because when you look at our podcast on Apple or Spotify, it's just it's suggesting our podcast, and then it suggests podcasts about basketball and podcasts about cats.
A basketball makes basket. Mm-hmm. Hilarious.
So we are right in the middle of ballers and kitty people.
That is actually, and that's where we exist.
The internet.
That's where that's where our podcast is. Honestly, like theoretically, you know. But well, this was good. Is there anything else?
This was good. No, I feel like this was the vacation I needed.
This was a vacation.
This is a wild episode.
This was a vacation from doing jokes for a really big portion of the podcast.
Yeah, you didn't think it was funny?
I thought it was funny.
You don't think these topics are ha-ha hilarious?
I thought it was...
You don't think it's not ha-ha funny, ha-ha weird.
Ha-ha weird. And that's what you need
now
sometimes.
We're just speaking in talks.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe to Basket of Cats on wherever you listen so you can download it.
Yeah, share it. Follow it on YouTube. If you're watching, please go watch.
Send it to your grandma.
Yeah. I like to say get in the basket. That's my new thing.
Get in the basket.
That's what I've been tagging all of our stuff in.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Get in the basket.
Ooh, it's so creepy and spooky.